So I was in the shower, I was cleaning my ass and making all sure it's all sparkly, spanky clean.
I'm not the funny one, I'm the pretty one.
Cock shots. I just checked myself out.
Candles, music, wine, and then lube up and get on top.
The glory hole's like a dick theater. I've imagined your family.
Which means your pants had better come off. Mama needs playtime. I do that.
We're not sluts.
We just love love. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mrs. Atom.
And this is Mr. Atom. I did a little pop there with my mouth as well. Sorry.
That's okay. I'll beat you later for it.
Okay, sounds fair.
But you're listening to us here on By the By.
Yeah. Hey.
Welcome.
What
Welcome
up?
back.
Yeah. Welcome back. Or if this is your first time, hello, virgin.
Mr. Atom is looking forward to taking advantage of you.
I'm gonna do you in the ear hole.
That's his favorite position. You know, everybody's got something.
I appreciate oral sex. Oh, see what I did there?
Oh, that was bad.
Man, I love it. Yeah, so
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Starting off right.
If you're new here, this is basically how it's gonna go.
Yeah, something like that.
We apologize in advance.
Mm-hmm. So tonight we're going to talk about Mr. Atom's adventure last night.
Yeah, my club night.
Yeah. So Mr. Atom, and he'll have to fill you in on more details because I have not heard anything yet. All I know is that Mr. Atom was going out to a club for some kind of a theme party.
Yep.
With his guy.
Yes, Jack.
Right. So what was the theme?
Okay, so the information that I got was that there was a theme. But by the time we got there, I think that the theme had maybe fallen apart.
What was it supposed to be?
So, and I'm scrolling back through my messages here real quick to find it. Okay, so the thing was at the Civic Underground in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
It's we'll talk a little more about that in a minute, but it's an underground club. Literally underground club.
Is it in a hotel, like under the hotel, or is
It's so for our American people, when you say hotel,
true. I mean pub.
yeah, it's a pub. So typically a hotel down here is a pub with rooms, a couple of rooms, but you go there because it's a pub,
Right.
Yeah. But yes, it was in an underground. The Civic is a hotel on Pitt Street, and there's a whole underground nightclub there.
Interesting. Okay.
But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But so the thing was Sydney's sexiest men only party is just around the corner. Dress code was encouraged, and this was the dress code: jocks, trackies. For our American listeners, those are like gym clothes.
Yeah.
Leather, soccer, trainers, rugby, lycra, boxing, swimmers, wrestling, etc. So
fitness oriented.
Fitness oriented was sort of the goal of the night.
Okay. Interesting though that they mentioned leather in there with that.
I know, right? Because it's also a fetish sort of thing.
Okay.
And so, to fast forward ahead a bit, I would say 1 in every 4 or 5 guys was wearing a leather harness.
Okay.
I would also say 1 in every 4 or 5 guys was wearing the same leather harness. They all shop at Saks, which is a wonderful shop. So yeah, that's where Saks or somewhere online is where they get their stuff. So I'll just sort of kind of try to make this as coherent as possible.
Yeah, take us through the evening.
But so I was to meet him at 10:45 at PM. I know, right? At his place. So I'm on the bus at 10 o'clock, heading to his place, and me, I'm not a young guy. I'm not an old guy, but I'm
not 20
I'm
anymore.
not 24 anymore. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to a club. And my brain's going, oh, you mean you're going to bed? And I was like, no, brain, we're going out. We're going into the city. And my brain was like, oh, to sleep? No, we're going to a party. And brain was like, oh, no, you don't know what a party is. No, we're going to slumber party. So I had to convince myself.
Was your brain asking for Red Bull at that point?
Funny you should say that. So I pumped up the loud, like poppy, like yeah, party music in my headphones. The bus was fucking packed.
And for all of our non-Australian, maybe non-Sydney even listeners, this happened to be a holiday weekend, and so this was a Sunday night when we have Monday as a holiday.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the bus being packed had something to do with people coming down from the beaches or parties.
I don't know. It was also the night of the NRL Grand Finals, the National Rugby League Grand Finals. Go
so
Sharkies.
It may have just been that there were a lot of people out and about.
Yeah.
In general, but
there was a lot of people out and about.
Was the bus like so packed that like people were standing up and sitting on the luggage thing? And,
yeah. I was standing the entire bus ride. And we're a good distance away. And I was standing with like people crammed all around me. It was disgusting. Yeah. And the bus driver was driving like he was in Gran Turismo. I was like, seriously, dude, you don't have to.
So the
like,
jerky starts.
Like he was slamming on the brakes, and he was like, honestly, shifting lanes. Like he was like, I was like, dude, there's nobody on the road. Why are we doing this? Anyway, I think our bus driver was drunk. So yeah, it was kind of a crazy ride into the city. I was listening to my music, and I get on the train. The train's a lot calmer, but there was a lot of people still in their rugby gear. Mm-hmm. And I get off at the stop.
I just got it. That might be why they had the fitness sports theme at the party.
Does that have anything to do with it? That does make logical sense now that you say that.
I didn't even realize.
Didn't either.
But maybe not. I don't know. Anyway.
So I get off at the proper train stop, and I start walking to Jack's house, and I passed a 7-Eleven along the way, and I went in and bought a Red Bull. So I leave, and right as I leave, and anybody who knows me, there's a couple of you that know this. I don't have a fear of homeless people like some of my friends, but I do have homeless people make me a little uncomfortable because I feel sorry for them. As I step out, and this homeless guy is like, "Do you have any money?" And he was clearly part of our LGBT community, and I'm not saying this is why, but I was like, yes, I do. So I gave him all the change in my pocket from the Red Bull, which wasn't a lot. It was like $2 and something. And he was like, "Oh, you're a good boy." I'm like, "Oh, thanks.
Pat me on the head and tell me that."
So, I was like, all right, this is my good karma. It's going to be a good night. That's what I was thinking. Anyway, I know. I do nice things only for nice things to be done to me. There's a long list of what's wrong with me.
Whatever your motivation,
anyway,
at least you're nice.
I felt like I was doing good. So I make it to Jack's house, and I ring his bell, and nothing.
Oh, okay.
So Jack
you mean
had
like
also
crickets?
Yeah, crickets. So he had also been to a party from 2 p.m. that started at 2 p.m. I don't know what time he got there, but it was supposed to go. It was another dance party, another gay club dance party. He went with another friend of his. Started at 2 p.m. and was supposed to end at 10.
Okay.
So I got to his place right on time, like always, 10:45, and I rang his bell, nothing. So I texted him. I was like, "Hey, are you home yet?"
Was he home? Yeah.
Nothing. Okay, well, maybe I'll ring the bell again. So I rang the bell again, and like on the 7th ring out of 10,
geez.
he goes, hey, buddy, you're here." Like, "I am. Are you?" He's like, "Come on in." So I went in. It took him a good 2 minutes to unlock the door. It's a single lock door. So
wait, is it a single lock door in that you unlock and then open, or do you have to unlock and hold the handle at the same time?
You unlock it and then you open it. So
right.
It's a single deadbolt, and then the door itself has no actual lock.
Right.
So he's standing there, and I gotta be honest, and it's funny because I know he's starting to listen to the podcast, so he might be listening to this. If you are,
this
is the truth.
He still loves you.
This is the truth. So I came in, and he gave me a hug. I'm like, "How you doing?" He's like, "I may have been sleeping." I was like, "Honey, I know you were sleeping because I rang the doorbell twice." He goes, "Really?" "I didn't hear it." I'm like, "That's because you were sleeping on the couch," because it was clear he was sleeping on the couch. And so he's like, "Oh, okay." And I went, have you been tripping a bit tonight? And he's like, no, I did not take any drugs tonight. I can't take drugs because I have a lot of work next week. Which I don't know how that... So for somebody who never has taken, ecstasy or Molly or was it
Anything.
GHB?
Yeah.
GBH? GHB. I don't know, but I trust him because he's done it a bit. And
as long as you know how it affects you.
yeah, he knows how it affects him.
sure.
So I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So you're at least clean. So he's like, I was just taking a nap. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, I needed to refuel before we go out tonight. I'm like, all right, cool. And so he was like, all right, what are you wearing? I'm like, well, I've got clothes on under my jeans because I came to his place in a black t-shirt and jeans. And we were just like, all right, well, let's go upstairs. So we go upstairs and he instantly lays on the bed. And I'm like, oh, I know where this is going because typically he lays on the bed, we play around a bit, and then we go out and do whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
But we lay down and he's asleep.
You must have woke him up out of that like REM sleep, like that real deep.
I think I did.
And then he just kind of
because he fell
back
up
in.
the stairs when he went up the stairs. He was drunk, but he wasn't like stupid drunk.
Yeah.
He was just like sort of that playful drunk.
Yeah. He was probably just in that really deep spot.
I think that's where he was.
Yeah.
And I ripped him out of that
we've
because
all been woken up out of that.
He couldn't complete a coherent sentence. He had trouble walking up the stairs. He wasn't high. Mm-hmm. He wasn't like wasted drunk. Yeah. He was tipsy drunk. But I think you're right. I woke him up out of REM.
Because we've all been woken up out of that moment. And it's one of those, if you have to function and you have to do something, at least for me, I'm very cognizant of the fact that I need to form a sentence now. I have to do this. But then the second you can go back to sleep, it's like, bam, somebody turned out the light switch.
Totally how it was.
Yeah.
So he lays down and he goes to sleep. And I know I texted you and I'm like, well, I made it to his place. He's asleep. And, I told him, I was like, dude, we don't have to go out. This is fine. I'm cool just us sort of chilling because I know he's exhausted. He's been working a lot. He's got a lot of things on a lot of different plates.
You were going to say he's got a lot of balls in the air, weren't you?
I did almost say that. We'll just go with that analogy. He's got a lot of balls in the air. So, I care for him, so I don't want him to overstress and be like, oh, I have to do this.
Right.
I'm like, it's no big deal. We can just stay here.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I just need to, for a minute. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he starts talking. And he's one of those drunk, tipsy guys that when he starts talking, he just starts talking. And he tells me all these things, and some of them are like deep. He, not like he shouldn't tell me these things, but they're
like personal
things. Yeah. He's telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, all right, yeah, okay. And I'm just listening. And for anybody who listens to the podcast, and I know for you, it's surprising when I'm not the one that talks the most in a relationship.
It can happen. It's unlikely.
I'm the quiet one in our relationship, his and mine.
Yeah.
And so he's just going on and on. And I think he had a nice little soliloquy of about 40 different subjects over 15 minutes. And I just listened. And, it's twofold because it was really sweet because some of the things he said were really lovely things. But it's also a little kind of like confession, and I feel like this is unfair because I know after talking to him today, he doesn't remember everything he told me. And some of it, was quite personal, and I don't feel like it felt unfair.
You felt uncomfortable.
I felt uncomfortable from that because again, I do like the guy, and I don't want him to feel that way.
You don't want him to overstep bounds that he may later regret.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But that, I'm not going to say that marred or put a mar on the beginning of the evening, but it did make me cognizant that I need to be careful tonight. I don't want to overdrink because I'm now the responsible one because I hadn't had really anything to drink at that point in the day. So I drank earlier, but at that point my blood alcohol was wicked low.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to be the responsible one tonight, which again sort of changes that mentality of things. Yeah. Again, not a negative, but that's just sort of, it is what it is. So he dozed on and off, and I sort of got to the point where I was like, all right, we're just going to stick around here tonight. And so at some point he wakes up and is like, all right, I'm ready. Let's go. And so he gets up and I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah.
He got a second win.
He did. The second win. It was like one of those out of nowhere kind of things. But he kept telling me, he kept
I can
asking.
totally see that from him. I can see him just popping up out of bed.
And that's basically how it went. But he was still sort of confused as to what time it was.
Yeah.
Because in a matter of 20 minutes, he asked me the time no less than 8 times. I wish I'd recorded each time he asked the time. Because at the last point, I went, dude, it's 2.5 minutes from the last time you asked me what time it was. So he was like, yeah, I know. Do you know? Do you know?
Oh, that's cute.
And there was a couple of times I'm thinking to myself, you're very lucky you're fucking hot. But so we go downstairs. We talk about what we're going to wear. Mm-hmm. I had rugby shorts on and then a black T-shirt and then red Converse. Well, under my jeans, of course.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And so he's like, I really like that. And I'm like, I also have these, which were my red Jock Straps, so assless underwear that are mesh everywhere but over the junk, and then a red mesh T-shirt, a black mesh T-shirt,
black mesh,
but with red
trim.
trim.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Long and short of it is, it matches the underwear and also matches the shoes. He goes, wear the underwear under your rugby shorts. He goes, you might want to take those off.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, fair enough. That sounds all right, cool. So he liked the rugby shorts and the T-shirt, and just by happenstance, the rugby shorts were Cronulla Sharkies color,
Well done.
who had just won their first
Grand final
in
years.
RL in
Yeah.
50 years. So
Well done.
it just happened to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, no, not well done. Good luck kind of thing. And so, you know, I had those on, and he wore some almost knee length like track shorts and a sleeveless T-shirt. So we left. We go downstairs and he's like looking for the tickets, and he's drunk. He finally prints out the tickets again, and he's like, okay, I'm starting to feel better. And he really clearly, he was clearly waking up. He was starting to be more
focused
in who I remember, who I know. And so he's like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, because lockout in Sydney,
you have to be
happened
there before 1:30.
1:30.
Yeah.
And then alcohol stops being served at 3 a.m. And at about 12:45, we're still kind of goofing around his apartment. And at 12:45, he pours a huge, like maybe 8 ounces, I don't know what that is in mils, of wine, red wine. So he pours a big glass of red wine. 8 ounces is a cup. So if you do the math on a cup, I don't know. Anyway. And he's like, all right, we're just going to drink this and then we'll go. And I'm like, are we going to drink it fast or are we going to... And he's like, well, we're going to... He goes, we got plenty of time. I'm like, okay. He goes, we're only a mile away. I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, cool. So again, not having had much alcohol, I grab the wine and I drink half of it because I know I can drink
Just
it quickly.
chug it down.
And to try to get things moving. Because I'm of the mindset at this point where we either stay here
if we're gonna
and
do it,
sleep
we're gonna do it.
because I'm fucking tired because it's 11 or it's pushing 1 a.m. It's 12:45, or we're gonna go and do this and I'll be fine once I'm there. I just need to fucking get there. So
at this point, you've been at his house now for 2 hours.
no, I got.
got
Oh,
there.
you're right. Yeah. So 2 hours. An hour of that we napped, air quotes.
So you've been there for 2 hours now, and you're just like
I'm ready to do something.
You just want to get it done.
Yeah, I just want let's do something.
Yeah.
So we left, and we start walking there, and he's asking me a lot of questions about what I did that day and how the week was. Being drunk, he asked me the same question probably on the walk there 3 times. And I will say I've said this before, he's the male version of you. He took earplugs because it's a loud dance club and he doesn't want to damage his ears. So I instantly think of you. At one point, a fire truck passed us and he plugged his ears as the fire truck passed us, which again, I think of you. So, he's like, I've got earplugs for you as well if you want them. I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, whatever. I don't, you know me, I don't use earplugs in clubs like this. So anyway, we make it to the club, we make it to the above ground club, the Civic,
The hotel, yeah.
the hotel, and it is packed with people in Cronulla jerseys.
Yeah.
And fortunately, again, at this point, I'm wearing a black t-shirt, rugby shorts. Okay, for anybody who doesn't know what rugby shorts are, you know that song, "Who Wears Short Shorts"? Yeah, I was wearing fucking short shorts.
Yeah.
They're
short shorts for boys.
They are short shorts.
Yeah.
They are less length than my thumb to pinky. If I stretch my thumb and pinky out as far as I can, they are shorter than that. Mm-hmm. That's fucking short.
But they were black with a stripe down the side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blue and white stripes down the side.
Yeah.
So and I'm wearing a black t-shirt, so it's slimming, and
Showing your legs off.
And again, so part of my thing as well is, I have an insulin pump, which we'll talk more about this in a later episode, but I'm a little freaked out by that. Self-conscious about it. And I've got that. The plus for the shorts is they had a internal pocket that my pump would fit in. So I've got that in there, and we make it into this club, and he sort of knows because he was there, like he had been to this club before 10 years ago, but he couldn't remember exactly how to get there. So we're wandering through all these people, and I'm wearing these short shorts, and I've got a little messenger bag on, and I'm looking, and people are looking at us like, because it's 1 a.m. at this point.
Yeah.
So we go downstairs, and as you're going down the stairs, all you hear is and I'm instantly thinking Stewie from Family Guy. And I'm like, holy shit, that is loud. So we go in.
Did you use the earplugs?
I didn't. I don't plan on living long enough to have ear problems. So we go inside, and it is, when I say wall to wall, I literally mean wall to fucking wall, with shirtless men.
Wow, this sounds kind of awesome.
Imagine a club, if you took our apartment and took all of the walls out of it, and then doubled its size, and then put, I don't know, 500 men in there, all shirtless, most sweating, some in harnesses.
This sounds like a feast.
It was a feast. We're not going to say it was a great feast, but it was a feast. So you walk in, and there's a bar directly to your right. There's bathrooms way over in the right corner. And then the very back, we learned later that there was a coat check.
Oh.
The very back left corner. So, and I've got my messenger bag on. So we go in, immediately get drinks. Like, cool, because I'm sort of not, I fucking need a drink at this time, because I won't lie, going into this I was a bit nervous about it, because I don't know what to expect. I've gone to saunas and I've done stuff like that, but I've never been to this kind of dance club where everybody's gay. So it was a new experience for me, and we get in, we get our drinks, and I pounded mine. I mean, I think I just upended it. I did a full cocktail as a shot. And we wandered around. Both of us took our shirts off almost immediately, because you had to. If you didn't, you would suffocate. I mean, it was that warm, that much body
That many
heat.
bodies, yeah.
And the music at that point was it was clearly club music, but it had words to it. So they were singing. So it wasn't like that dirty, edgy club music. It was just club music. So we stood and danced a bit I had my messenger bag on still, when we decided, all right, we need more drinks. So we go back to the bar, order some more drinks, and he says, he asked the bar lady, we thought that the coat check was to the left of the bar. That was where the bathrooms were. So he asked her, he's like, where's the coat jacket? And she's like, oh, back left corner. He's like, awesome. So we went back that way. And so we dropped my bag off, and at that point he took his shorts off, so he's wearing just his Speedos. And I'm still wearing...
Which, by the way, he looks fucking hot in Speedos.
He does. He looks great in Speedos.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing just my rugby shorts. I decided to leave those on because I figured it was a bad idea to take the insulin pump off. So we left, and we left our bag there, or my bag there, and we sort of wandered through the crowd. So I want to describe the crowd a bit.
Okay.
So
what would you say the average age was?
40.
Okay.
That surprised me.
Yeah.
That surprised me a lot.
Yeah.
But he even said, this is why I picked this kind of club. Both he and I are contemporaries. So we're both in that, 35 to 40 age, late 30s age. And he likes this because it's not just the young kids. So there are a few young kids, but it's clear that the young kids that are there are daddy chasers, which is fine. Whatever floats your boat, that's great. I actually quite liked the crowd. There were guys there that were, and this is from a sociological point of view, it was absolutely fascinating. I think you would have really appreciated it. Because you've got these people who are, the youngest person I saw there was probably 24 to 26. But out of that, let's assume there were 500 people there. I think there was probably more than that, but let's assume that. My wristband was 212. Okay. And my wristband came from the far left, very pre-sales table.
Gotcha.
There was a table that had the highest number I saw was 700.
Wow.
So we, out of, let's say 500 people, I would say maybe 10 to 50 of them were 28 and younger.
Okay.
It was
not
everywhere
very many
you looked,
then.
you didn't see a lot.
Yeah.
And I would say the vast majority were in that 32 to 45 range. That's the group, mass group.
Yeah.
But then there was plenty of guys that were in the... I know we saw a couple couples that were clearly together guys that were probably 60 to 70.
Okay.
And for me to see these guys in a dance club like this, where the music is so loud that you cannot hear yourself think. One of the things that amazed me almost immediately was I could feel the hairs on my leg vibrate with the dance, with the music. That right there was amazing to feel that.
I'm sure it was amazing, but I'm not sure it entirely sounds great.
So I clearly think what they had was some of the speakers were down against the floor.
I was going to say, but if they're on
I think
the
that
floors,
vibration was coming up from the floor because you could feel it on your feet as well.
That would be interesting.
What I'd feel was between my ankle and knees, which I have pretty hairy legs, I could feel the hairs going dunk, dunk, dunk.
Now that would be interesting because I think it would be more interesting as a vibration coming up than it would be.
I'm
just
pretty sure
sound.
that's what was happening because I didn't feel that anywhere else in my body. It stopped at about my knees.
That's kind of cool.
And I didn't have it on my arms, and my arms are just as hairy as my legs.
Yeah.
But it was sort of a freaky, fascinating. I loved the feeling. That's a feeling that I would like to feel again. So that was great, So, we're wandering around and we're listening to music, and the guys were, you had guys that were clearly on drugs. And that was the other kind of amazing thing about this is when I say on drugs, and the two common drugs of choice are GHB and ecstasy. I expect that of a younger crowd. What I didn't expect was to see guys in their late 50s tripping on ecstasy or GHB. Yeah. And they're kind of going crazy in that highly oversexed way that you get when you're on those drugs. And it's a good feeling to watch these guys being able to let loose. And there was a few times that I looked at this and I was like, I'm looking at this group as a large social group. They're all exactly the same, and I don't mean that in an ugly way. These are all people who they're all gay or bisexual, but mostly gay. They're all, many of them are on drugs. Many of them are drinking. They're all dancing and having a blast. They're all interacting with one another in a very positive, happy, social way. You saw no angry pushing. You saw no ugliness. You saw no, but the amazing thing about that was the dichotomy of age. We've got young guys with older guys, and everybody is sort of mixed in a group that's what was surprising to me, was to seeing the vast range of age.
So overall, a very positive vibe, though.
It was great. It was such a good vibe. It's like, I think back to the times when I've been to Pulse in Orlando. There was multiple times that I was like, I feel safe here. And again, I thought of Pulse and I got a little emotional, but I managed to shove that down because that was just me. But I see that, I'm like, we feel safe here. This is a place where you can truly, truly be who you are.
Yeah.
And there's no negative repercussions. There's no judging. There's nothing. You look around, you see guys on their phones, and every time you saw a phone, it was clear Grindr. They were on Grindr. It was, you're like, this is great. And there wasn't a lot of guys on phones, but you saw that. It was like, oh yeah, you're on Grindr, you're on Grindr, you're on Grindr. I'm pretty sure if I'd opened Grindr,
just walk over there and talk to them.
And that's the thing, which is, it just shows how we use things like that as a crutch.
Yeah.
Even in a place where we feel so safe that we can talk to anybody, we're still using Grindr to find people that we want to talk to and talk to them, because we're using it as a crutch, because we don't truly feel safe, even in a situation like that. I'm assuming. I may be wrong, but that was my assumption.
Or maybe potentially, just playing devil's advocate, they had chatted with someone before and they're trying to meet up. Like, where are you?
Potentially, yeah. I'm going here tonight. I'll be there.
If it was truly that crowded, it might be hard to find someone.
Oh, God. I can't imagine. Needle in a haystack. So, looking around at the group, I'm going to guess out of every 10 people, we'll say, actually, let's bump that up to a larger group. Out of every 50 people, maybe 100 people. Let's say 50 people. One person was still in their shirt. Everybody else was shirtless.
Okay.
Out of 50 people, 15 of them were in a harness, and the rest were absolutely shirtless. So
This sounds kind of sexy.
it was very sexy. I saw lovely guys, a lot of guys that I was like you're cute, you're cute, you're cute. Tattoos were clearly the thing. I remember one guy that I thought, oh look, he's wearing a lace shirt, because I'm looking at him from across a fucking nightclub.
And it was all tattoos.
It was all tattoos.
Oh, wow.
I mean, his entire chest, back, arms down to the wrist, and where a t-shirt would fall, or where a shirt would fall, was all tattoos.
Wow.
It was beautiful. Up close, he was beautiful. He was a illustrated man. There were those, so we saw one guy who was completely naked. He was wearing, and I love the joke, he was wearing a mask and a tool belt. I know, right? It was great. But, so he's completely naked except for his tool belt. And his tool belt just happened to hang in front of his junk. But as the night went on, he moved it to his side, of course, as you do.
I'm sure it would get moved.
But he's kept his mask on. Yeah. So, it was so loud, and it was, so back to I'm sorry, I'll come back to that in just a second. So, and then lastly, jock straps. Jock straps were the thing.
I'm sure there were a ton of those.
Half the guys were wearing jock straps. They were wearing those wonderfully designer jock straps. I've got a few pair. They are really nice. They cup the front. They strap around, and your ass is free.
And they just shape it so nicely.
They hold your ass in.
It's outlined perfectly. Yeah.
And I have to say, again, giving Jack credit, I put those on first, and he was like, God damn, you have a great ass. I'm like, oh, thank you. I do really appreciate that. And, with him being drunk, I knew he was being honest, because drunk people don't lie. And so there was times that the lights flashed so strongly, on off, in that strobe kind of fashion, that I had to close my eyes. It was that intense. That, that sort of surreal feeling where people stop moving for a moment because of the strobe. It was intense. I've never experienced anything. I've experienced strobe lights. I've been to clubs before, but here it was such an intense feeling, and there were so many people packed in. It felt like snapshots. You were looking at snapshots, almost to the point that I was getting a little nauseous from it.
And I bet if you were drunk or high, that would be elevated even more.
Oh, you could tell.
Yeah.
So we danced a lot. He and I danced a lot. In that funny...
Being Jack.
Jack, sorry, yes, not me. And sorry, folks, I'm pouring myself a little more wine because I'm talking a lot and I need some moisture on the palate. He and I danced a lot. Jack and I danced a lot. And, it was really, really a lot of fun. I did really enjoy myself. At one point, we stopped at this open space above the dance floor, about maybe a half meter to a meter above the proper dance floor, and they've got a little balcony there looking over it. And we were like, "Oh, look, an open space! We can stand here. This is great." And we had our drinks, and all of a sudden, it's like snow fog shit gets blown. That's why that space was open. And he looks at me and he's got like ice crystals in his hair. We're both fucking freezing. It went in our drinks, so chemically I'm probably gonna die. And he looks at me and goes, "Fuck, let's move." Like, yes. So we moved away from that spot, and then somebody else took it over, only to learn a hard lesson later. However, later, when we were on the dance floor, that was a great thing because you're like hot and sweaty. And then that stuff, by the time it settles on you, it's cool and it feels so nice. Never felt anything like that before. But it's a cooling fog machine is basically what it was. So there was a lot of drug use, which he had warned me about. But again,
happy drug use.
The drug uses that they're using are drugs that they're positive feeling drugs. These are drugs that enhance your love. I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for is, but these are people that are clearly now very loving. So I got hugged by so many random people. Like it was like they would hug you, but it was like this genuine hug. It wasn't like this creepy hug. It was a genuine hug, and then they'd hold you back and they would look at you and go, "Thank you," and then walk away. Of course, you couldn't hear them because it was at that point, the music had changed to what I would call a dirtier music. So it was just about that speed. It was really loud. You couldn't understand anything. So
then you're just testing your lip reading skills.
Yeah, which I'm terrible. I had no idea what anybody's saying to me. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, hey." Jack knew a couple of the people at the club. He would just run in, and he knew them because he's been in the scene for that long. Lovely people, nice people, as much as I can understand. He had a couple of guys come up and kind of aggressively grope him, to which he had to kind of push him off and go, "No." And so, at one point we went to the bathroom, standing in line for the bathroom because apparently there's a lot of the drug use happens in the bathrooms. So there's a ridiculous line. They had 5 stalls. There was more urine on the floors of the bathroom than there was in the toilets, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what those boys were doing, but they weren't aiming for show.
That's disgusting.
It was just about the most disgusting bathroom I've ever been to, and I have been to a bathroom in Yankee Stadium. So, it was disgusting. So, we stood in line, went to the bathroom, and then left, went back out, and... So after, I'm trying to think if there's anything like any big things that I've missed over the whole, just the dance thing. We had a few drinks. We danced a lot. A little, typical dirty dancing, bumping, grinding, a little bit of touching. There was nothing like, it wasn't like a sauna. I expected, from what he told me, I expected it to be like a sauna with loud music. It really wasn't. We saw no sex, no oral sex, a lot of making out. Like,
Yeah.
But, and again, it goes
But
back
that's
to
to be
that.
expected at any club, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't expect it from people who are in their 50s.
Nah.
I don't.
Yeah.
And it was great to see it. I actually, for me, I look at that and I'm like, there's hope for me. When I'm 50, I may still be
make out
making
with
out.
somebody on the dance floor.
Yeah, I'm still making out with somebody. And many of these guys were clearly partnered together. And Jack knew some of them. He's like, oh yeah, they've been together for blah, blah, blah. And you see these guys and they're making out and it's sweet. So yeah, that's, we basically, we wandered around there. I think we left there. So they stopped serving alcohol at 3, and I think we left at about 3:30 or 3:45.
Okay.
And at that point, he was toasted again because he would order 2 drinks, pound one at the bar, and then carry one around with him. And me, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to be responsible, and which I know is unlike me. You've got that look on you like, what? And I'm like, I know.
It can happen.
So
Miracles happen.
So yeah, we left and
So you were there for about 2.5 hours then?
we got there at 1, right around 1.
Okay, so a
and
little
then left
over.
at 3:45 maybe.
Okay. So almost 3
so
hours.
almost 3 hours. Yeah.
What was your overall feeling of the party?
Immediately when I walked in, I was sort of overwhelmed. So it was trepidation. Having never done anything like that, I'd never been in that kind of a room with that many people. We've done dance clubs like ARC.
Yeah.
It was like ARC, but with more people.
Yeah.
It was just like, if there were so many people.
And by the end of it?
By the end of it, it was this sort of stupid elation. Having only drank the entire time we were there, I had 3 drinks. So not a lot.
A drink an hour.
And I think I drank 3 bottles of water while we were there because it was, it's warm. And so you're sweating. Everybody was sweaty, which is kind of disgusting because you can't walk from anywhere to anywhere else without like rubbing up against guys. And me being on the average side of height,
Yeah.
that means that a quarter of the guys will say are taller than me,
You had a
and
fair
a quarter
number
of the
of
guys
chests
are.
in your face.
I had a number of chests in my face, and there was a few times it was like, "Oh my god, this is gross," because you're sweaty. When I left, it was this, I'm going to say almost stupid elation.
Okay.
I felt so positive, and I'm like looking around going, and I think one of the big things that bothers me, and I'm going to fight to not get emotional over this, is that there was 3 times I looked around at the group and I thought, the people who I grew up with would be happier if everybody in this room was dead. And I know I went to a dark space there, but I grew up in a very repressed Southern community, very conservative community. And these are the same people that when bad things happen to the LGBTQI community, they're like, that's good, they deserve it. And I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, how can you feel that way when these people are happy? And these people weren't hurting anybody. They were very, they were happy people. And I'm looking around and going, the people that I grew up with, the people that I went to school with would be happier if you weren't here at all. And that really, there was almost awakening. It was good, but it was bad. And I am getting emotional here. It's really frustrating to see that positivity and to see that, these people are having fun and not hurting anybody. But there are people who are out there that,
there are so many people that hate them just because of the idea, not because they know them.
Without any understanding, without any care to take the time to learn who these people are. They hate them because of what they do. So that was sort of was a moment for me that I got. There was a couple of times in the club that I got that way, which is I expect that when I drink, but I hadn't been drinking, so that to me that was a more maybe natural or raw emotion. I was like, this is real. This isn't an alcohol or drug based feeling. So basically, Jack and I got our shit together and put our clothes back on, and we left. And he was starving at that point, because that's why we left. Is he was hungry. He's like, I'm hungry. The bar has to serve food. I'm like, honey, it's 3:30 in the morning. They're not going to be serving food. He goes, legally, they have to serve food. I went, until 10 p.m. they have to serve food. After that, they don't have to do anything. And he was like, oh, okay. And I went, do you want to leave? He's like, no, I don't want to take you away from this. Like, you're starving, right? He was like, yeah. I'm like, well, let's just go. He's like, no. And we waited, there was 30 seconds. I'm like, oh, God, if this is drunk Mr. Atom that I'm dealing with, I feel so bad because I do this all the fucking time. And so after 30 seconds, he goes, yeah, let's leave. Like, all right, I'm going to get my shit.
All you have to do is wait him out.
I know, right? Just
You'll learn that. All you have to do is just wait.
Is this how you deal with me? Uh-huh. I love it. So we got our shit and we left. We leave and everywhere. I mean, you go out on the city streets and it is dead. It's like an apocalyptic dead. And he goes, I'm hungry. I'm like, is there a pie face close by? He goes, somewhere over there. And he just sort of directs off.
Like the random King's Cross direction.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, let's just walk. He was like, I think there's one right over here. I'm like, all right. So I follow him, and there is right across the street. Thank God, where there's a pie face, and so we got a sausage roll, and he was like, "You're not gonna eat anything?" Like, I'm not hungry, but you're not gonna eat anything. I'm cool. It's good. He's like, are you sure? I'm sure. So, let's go back home. So we start walking. I'm walking a straight line. I'm pretty sure if I walked 1,000 steps, that poor boy walked 1,500 because he was left and right and left and right. We get back to his place after me being chastised 3 times for walking too quickly. And he talked the whole way. Mm-hmm. That boy never shut up.
Well, I remember last time that, I guess the only time I've ever been out with him late at night like that, he commented on the fact that he didn't want to walk home because he thought he was walking too slow. Yeah. Because he was drunk. Yeah.
So the boy doesn't like to walk fast when he's drunk.
Apparently.
When he's sober, he walks pretty fast. And I was like, all right, this is cool. Let's walk. And he's like, you need to slow down. So we get back to his place. And I was like, all right, is it okay if I sleep in the bed with you? Because we hadn't talked about sleeping arrangements at all.
Yeah, this was the first time that you stayed the night.
This was my first overnight with him. And
you didn't talk about sleeping arrangements before?
No.
What is wrong with you?
Shut up. You're not my real mom.
Don't you know better than that?
I should probably, but I don't. So we get to his place, and I'm like, are you okay with me sleeping in the bed with you? And he looks at me like, well, where else are you going to sleep? I'm like, well, you told me I could sleep on the couch or the guest room. That's before we left for the club. And he's like, no, I want you, you should be in bed with me. But if I snore, I don't snore. But if I snore, I'll make the guest bed up. And I'm like, no, it's cool. I want to sleep with you. And he's like, I'm gonna make sure the guest bed is clean anyway, just in case. And I thought to myself, God damn, I can't fuss at him because this is how I am when I'm drunk. And I'm like, all right, honey, just go do whatever. And he does, and we lay down, and we talked for a few minutes, and it was nice because it was snuggly sleep, and it was, at one point he's even said, he's like, well, if you have something you need to say to me, say it to me in the next minute and a half, because when I fall asleep quick. I'm like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. And I think he and I were both probably unconscious by 3:45, maybe 4. I don't know. It was early.
So what kind of sleeper is he? Is he a touchy-feely one, or is he like a separate sides of the bed?
He's exactly like you. We started out, I was laying on his chest. We were snuggling. The next time I woke up, we were both like completely the other side of the bed.
And then you wake up again in the morning and you're back intertwined.
Well, every time we would both were semi-awake, we went back to the middle and were cuddling. But then whenever we were asleep, it was he's on his back and I'm on my stomach.
Yeah.
Separated. So it was kind of funny to go back and forth between that. And then so we ended up my alarm went off at 7:30 because I have
you forgot to turn it off.
forgot to turn it off. Holiday weekend, thanks a lot. So I forgot to turn my alarm off. So alarm went off at 7:30. I will say the second it went off, I recognized it and shut it off. So he didn't wake up. But then from 7:30 till noon, when we finally got out of bed, I would get up and pee. He would get up and go. And I would get up, and we were both kind of separate. Like I would fall back to sleep, and then I would wake up as he got out of bed, and then he would come back to bed, and I would get up, and so yeah, and then we both sort of woke up at noon. We attempted a little play. It didn't really work out. So we were like, because we were both fucking starving.
Yeah.
Because it was noon, and I had not eaten anything since, I don't know,
9:30.
9:30 of the night before. I'd eaten nothing but gummy bears. And so we were like, let's just go. Because we played a little, but nothing. Like, it was just a bit. And so we went and had brunch, and then, that was basically...
No play after brunch?
No play after brunch. Because at that point, it was... By the time we got back to his place, it was 3 p.m. And I was like, because had brunch, and then we walked around the city a bit. And then, I knew I needed to get home because I didn't know what was going on. And so I was like, I'm not even going to push it. I'm not going to ask for it. And so, that's basically it. And then I came home.
Sounds like a successful evening, all in all.
All in all, it was a lot of fun. It's funny because being the sober one, I will admit it felt like more work. A little more work than fun.
Just because you have to pay attention, or what about it?
I was trying... It wasn't because he was drunk, necessarily. That was some of it. But a lot of it was me being in a new situation, not having ever been to a club like that before, not really knowing what to expect, but wanting to stay cognizant, coherent, and collect information.
So you're working extra hard just to pay attention and soak up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm even thinking a couple of things I forgot at this point. At one point, so we're standing on this little ledge above the dance floor, and this really, really cute guy stands up, grabs the balcony, comes up, and then traces my tattoo on my chest. And he leans in, he goes, "That's the golden ratio." And I went, "Yeah, it is." And of course, again, this is all during this loud, obnoxious, so we're screaming into each other's ears. And I have to give this young man, he was probably 30, credit. He was pushing in my ear and then screaming at me. So he's trying to deafen me before screaming at me. But he would grab my face,
concentrate the hearing.
Yeah, and he would push in my ear, his finger in my ear, and then scream at me. And so I don't remember his name, but he introduced himself. I introduced myself, and he was like, "That tattoo is really hot, and why do you like it?" And I gave him the general, "Oh, I love math," which in a club, what more can I say?
Yeah.
I can't be honest. And he was like, "That's fucking hot." And then he steps down, and then Jack looks at me and goes, "Let's go dance with him." He's trying, and he was, I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to include me and get me going. So we went down, and I danced with the guy a little. And apparently he and Jack then had a conversation. And the long and short of it was the young guy was a bottom. And after he found out that I was a bottom, he disappeared. Like
interesting.
Poof.
Like there's no hope.
Like the Roadrunner. Yeah. They're like, "This is pointless. I'm not going to waste my fucking time." Which... I totally appreciate it, but it's still sort of like that's a.
can switch a little.
I don't want
Yeah.
No, I can't. So,
Well,
I
sure.
don't. But yeah, so that was, all in all, I would say it's not something I could do every night.
Right.
It's not something I would do every week. I can see me doing it 3 to 4 times a year, maybe, solely from the socioeconomic, like seeing people of different ages have this sort of, it was so nice to see that freedom, to see people who clearly didn't feel like they were comfortable kind of going crazy and letting loose outside of this room. But inside this room, they were safe to do that.
It was a safe space.
There was, and I would say probably 2/3 to 3/4 were high on something, be it alcohol or ecstasy or more likely GHB. To see that, and they were sort of this crazy, it was fun, it was relaxed. And that was nice. And there was a lot of, there's a lot of groping, and I got groped and cupped and, patted on the cheek a few times. And that was how it was, but it was all in a non-threatening, sweet, I'm going to say sweet way, not non-creepy way. Even when somebody that you didn't want to talk to you, if you looked at it and went, no, much like the swingers clubs that we go to, you say, no, thank you. If you say it like that, they were like, okay. And then they go off to somebody else. So, all in all, it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. Yeah.
It was a good time for you to stay the night with Jack.
Yeah.
It may not have turned out exactly as you had anticipated.
It did not turn out exactly as I anticipated. He and I don't get nearly the time that I wish that we could. We're both busy people. Yeah. But it was a good night.
Enjoy what you've got.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you take what you can get, and I'm glad to have what I've got. So yeah, it was a good night.
Good.
Do you have questions? Because I feel like I've rambled on. Of this hour-long podcast, I think I've talked for 50 minutes at least.
I think you've answered most of my questions. I did have a bunch at the beginning, but didn't need to ask them. You just kind of naturally went through and answered
I reckon we
them.
should have done an interview style then. Yeah. Do we have a question for? Because that's all I've got. If anybody has any questions or comments or whatever, let us know. But that's all I've got about it.
You mean like a question? At the
Yeah,
end
let's
of
do
the
a question of the week. Because I don't have any more that I should say about it. I don't think.
So we have one that somebody had asked us, one of our listeners, and because we're both bisexual, the question was, are you afraid that your partner may want to leave you for someone of the opposite sex to you?
So are we afraid that...
So would I be afraid that you would leave me for a male?
Yeah.
And would you be afraid that I would leave you for a female?
I am not afraid that you'll leave me for a female. I can say that confidently. I think that you will always want a man in your life. I think that I would say that with near confidence. Yeah.
Okay. And my answer to that is that no, I'm not afraid that Mr. Atom would leave me for another male. I am not naive, and I know that he needs that and will always have that as part of his life. But I find that very attractive and really kind of hot. And so I don't mind sharing him. I very much enjoy sharing him with someone. But I don't think that he would ever leave me completely and wholly for someone else.
I don't ever want to leave you. I would never want to leave you. I can say that from this point of view, at this time, I guess, that I would never leave you for somebody else. I'm not going to lie and say that in my mind, what I would love to have is that sort of relationship where we have 3 people in our relationship.
Yeah.
Where we have a constant male,
Which would be nice, and I know that you really want that.
I would love to have a constant male. I would love to get to the point where we had someone living with us, like 3 people that,
And ideally, I would like for that male to be someone that is comfortable with me watching.
Right, of course.
Participation, give or take, but
Right.
at least being able to watch you two together, because I find that incredibly hot to see you with another guy.
It's one of those things that I think if I could draw this person,
Mm-hmm.
this person would basically be me. That sounds vain as fuck. I realize, but I don't
Do you
mean
think
it
he
like
could live with you?
I couldn't live with me. But what I'm talking about sexually is that
okay.
someone who is as into you as he is to another guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we would be able to have that sort of, at times it would be you and me, at times
Right,
it'd be
right.
him and you, at times it'd be him and me, and at times it would be all three of us.
Right.
But there's never that, none of those makes any of us less.
Right.
That all of the sexual encounters do nothing but build on our relationships. I know that's naive and that's probably statistically never going to happen, but
I was going to say, it sounds like a good fantasy world, but
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to ask
I
of
know.
anyone. Yeah.
But I would love to have somebody who is that,
Mm-hmm.
we all sort of live together and this is just how we are.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
yeah, there we are. So that's my latest adventure. If you want to talk to us, we always encourage your questions, comments, and rude remarks. Email us at theatomsoflove@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. We're at the Atoms of Love. And you can find us on our website, www.bytheby.com.au. And we've got a Facebook page out there as well. Search for By the By Podcast. And you can follow us there. And please, please, please go to iTunes, Pocket Cast, Stitcher. Give us a review. It helps people like you find people like us who likes things like people like you. That would be great. We'd really appreciate it.
Yep.
So, do you have any closing remarks since I bogarted this podcast?
I just want to say thank you for listening to us here on By the By.
All right. Bye, guys.